High Tower. Do you know what color it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war?
Green.
Congratulations, stepdaughter. What a blessing this is for you.
Days after the scandalous incident, Daemon obeys Viserys' command and returns home to Runestone, in the Vale. There, he runs into Lady Rhea Royce, his estranged wife and heir to Runestone. Heading for a hunt, the lady rides on horseback and stops when she spots Daemon. Noticing a strange demeanor about him, Rhea fears the prince intends to harm her. Confirming her suspicions, Daemon intentionally startles Rhea's horse, prompting the animal to toss her to the ground. The heavy fall leaves Rhea paralyzed and renders her helpless against the prince. Moments later, Daemon grabs a rock and kills Rhea, hence freeing himself from the shackles of their failed marriage. When Rhea is found, her death is regarded as a hunting mishap with no ties leading back to Daemon. Meanwhile, at the other end of the realm, Sir Criston, Rhaenyra, Viserys, and his new hand Lord Lionel Strong journey to Driftmark, the home of the Valyrians, to offer a marriage proposal. During the sea voyage, Viserys falls sick and struggles to keep it together. On their arrival, Viserys and Lionel meet with Corlys and Rhaenys to officially make their proposal. The king suggests Laenor get married to Rhaenyra, so the two great houses can unite and enhance their military might. Wasting no time, Corlys accepts the proposal as both parties agree on the engagement. After settling the details, Corlys and Rhaenys privately discuss their son's future. A concerned Rhaenys worries they're putting Laenor in a dangerous position, as marrying Rhaenyra would earn him many enemies. However, Corlys dismisses her concerns and assures her their son will be fine. Outside the castle, Rhaenyra meets Laenor, and they discuss their future together. Upon questioning, the princess discovers that Laenor is gay and doesn't find her sexually attractive. Learning this, Rhaenyra suggests an arrangement to favor both parties. She proposes they get married to fulfill their political roles, but explains they can sleep with other people outside their marriage. Laenor accepts her proposal, and together, the couple makes a pact to keep their extramarital affairs a secret. After settling the engagement details, they head back to the castle. On their return home, Sir Criston approaches Rhaenyra and brings up a bizarre plan. Developing feelings for the princess, Criston asks Rhaenyra to run away with him so they can secretly get married outside of Westeros. Though the princess also shares feelings for Criston, she turns down the offer in favor of her duties as heir. Instead, she tells the knight about her arrangement with Laenor and explains they can still mess around even when she's married. Having upstanding morals, Criston refuses to be her secret lover and breaks off the affair on the spot. Hours later, the royal company finally arrives home, with Viserys' health only growing worse from the never-healing wounds on his body. Meanwhile, Otto readies his horse to leave the palace, having been relieved of his duties. Before his departure, Otto warns Alicent that she must continue his work and try to make Aegon heir. The former hand explains Aegon's existence constantly threatens Rhaenyra's claim to the throne. As a result, when the princess will eventually take over the Iron Throne, she will have no choice but to kill Aegon to solidify her position as heir. To avoid this, Otto advises Alicent to be wary of Rhaenyra and not believe anything she says. After father and daughter exchange their goodbyes, the former hand leaves, while Alicent remains in the palace. Later that day, the queen heads to the courtyard and meets with Lord Larys Strong, the youngest son of Lionel Strong. From him, she discovers that Rhaenyra received a specially prepared tea from the Grand Maester on the night of the allegations. Learning this, Alicent instantly realizes the concoction was a contraceptive, proving Rhaenyra isn't a virgin like she previously claimed. To confirm her suspicions, Alicent summons Sir Criston to her chambers and coyly questions if he knows what happened that night. Filled with guilt, Criston admits he and Rhaenyra made love. Alicent's suspicions are confirmed that Rhaenyra is indeed not a virgin anymore, but she is shocked to learn that Criston took the princess's virginity, and not Daemon. Nevertheless, having discovered that Rhaenyra lied to her, Alicent feels betrayed and heeds her father's warning to be wary of the princess. The following day, an engagement ceremony is thrown in Laenor and Rhaenyra's honor. To welcome their guests, Viserys and the princess arrive early to the event, but Alicent is noticeably absent. As the event begins, the realm's most prestigious houses troop into the palace. Surprisingly, Daemon also attends the event and is offered a seat on the high table. With the guests settled, Viserys begins an introductory speech to commence the ceremony midway into the king's address. Alicent gracefully enters the room wearing an enchanting green dress, the battle color of her house. Viserys freezes at the sight of his queen and stops his speech as she takes her spot next to him. Feeling contempt for Rhaenyra, Alicent offers the princess a cold greeting before finally sitting down. With the queen's arrival, Viserys wraps up his speech as Rhaenyra and Laenor hit the dance floor. After the couple has a customary first dance, the guests flood the floor and begin the celebrations. During the party, Laenor meets with his secret lover, Sir Joffrey, as the two men engage in a brief gossip session. Closely studying the guests, Joffrey spots Criston staring lustfully at the princess and theorizes the knight is her secret lover. To verify his claims, Joffrey approaches Criston and taunts him with his suspicions. At the other end of the hall, Daemon is approached by Sir Gerald Royce, Rhea's cousin. The bereaved knight suspects the prince is behind his cousin's death and outrightly accuses him of murder. Unmoved by his accusations, Daemon coyly diverts the topic from Rhea's death to his inheritance. He explains that since Rhea had no children, Runestone should be passed on to him by law. Stunned by his proposition, Gerald exits the scene and abandons his initial accusations. Moments later, chaos strikes out of nowhere as the halls suddenly become rowdy, with guests pushing against one another. Rhaenyra is caught in the packed crowd, while Laenor locates the cause of the commotion. Moving to the hall's center, he finds Sir Criston brutally beating Joffrey. Laenor tries to intervene, but Criston knocks him back, causing him to get lost in the sea of guests. Meanwhile, Harwin Strong, the eldest son of Lionel Strong, locates Rhaenyra and throws the princess over his shoulder as he carries her to safety. Returning to the fight, Criston continues punching Joffrey and ends up shattering his skull and killing him. Soon after, the crowd disperses as Laenor crawls to his lifeless lover and mourns his death. In the party's aftermath, Sir Criston heads outside and tries to kill himself. However, Alicent stops him, ultimately saving the Kingsguard's life. Despite the evening's tragic events, Rhaenyra and Laenor get wedded in the company of their respective families. After the couple exchanges their vows, a sick Viserys falls to the ground as his worried family swiftly rushes to his side.